Hi everybody, welcome to Woman Up. I'm Leah and I'm joined as usual by Sue. Hello Sue.
Hi, Leah. How are you this week?
Very well. Not many complaints
That's excellent.
actually, and I'm a week closer, so that's
Yeah.
good. We are really excited to welcome back returning guest, back by popular demand. That's right, our very own biologist extraordinaire and mum, our top tier TERF from Townsville, here to talk about the madness of men in women's sports, her knowledge on the Professional World Sports Association and their mental policies on transgender inclusion. It's Emma. Hi, Emma.
Hi,
Hi,
Emma.
Leah. Hi, Sue. It's great to be back.
Great to have you back.
It's lovely to have you back. So you've been researching the maddening and absurd world of transgender inclusion, which we all know is inadequate males forcing themselves into women's sport because we know that they know that they can win, and perverts who want to access the changing rooms.
I have been.
You've had the honor and the privilege of researching that. Tell us what led you to that research in the beginning, in the first place?
Well, that's a great question. I had a friend actually, and someone who I work closely with here in Townsville who is a sports person. And she was a bit blasé at first. And then I researched. And then I told her, and she freaked out a little bit. So I won't give you any details about her. And then I thought, no, something needs to be done about this because Australia is not keeping up with the rest of the world as far as equity for women in sport in Australia. And so I did some research and putting together this research, I think, needs to be sent out to all the sporting associations in Australia so they can make some sensible decisions about equity for women in sport. That's where I'm at the moment.
And safety as well. Fairness and safety.
Yeah, safety and dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say Australia's not keeping up, what other countries are you thinking about that? Because I thought that this was pretty common now that men can just identify as women and play in women's sports. Are there countries that stand out to you as really saying no to this?
Well, no, not countries.
Okay.
Sorry, I haven't explained myself well, Leah.
No,
So
it's fine. I've got loads of questions. So
the Olympic, the IOC, what does that stand for? Olympic Commission International, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Olympic Committee, IOC.
That's it. They have basically very meekly handballed the question about transgender inclusion to the world sporting associations and said, we don't want to discuss this. You have to work it out.
right.
That was their position. And then the sporting associations each had to look at the issue and come to a conclusion and then change their policy to suit their particular sport. And they did. And the majority of them, it's not going well for trans women who want to, or trans identified males, I should say, who want to be in women's sport.
But even though the international sporting whatever, even if they say no transgender in that particular sport, countries still have the option, don't they, of deciding whether or not they will allow, or is the governing body, the world governing body, do they have the last say?
Well, this is interesting. The world governing bodies for these sporting associations, some of them actually say we, have discretionary, decisions can be made at the local level. And some of them say straight out that if these people compete, they will not win competitions that will not be recorded as winning. And it will not be recorded as a record breaking.
Good.
So, and then the next level is that definitely not. You shouldn't do it. So there's a few different approaches. And I'm not an expert on sport. I've never been a really sporty person, but what I can do is I can read some of the information that the sporting bodies have actually said, because I think this is interesting and I think it's something to bring up in conversation. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so swimming, so that's FINA. They have adopted a new policy this year on gender inclusion. They have made an open category for people who are transgender and encourage them to participate in that category. If they want to participate in the women's category, they have to demonstrate that they have got lower than 2.5 nanomoles of testosterone over a 2-year period. Although they also acknowledge here that the science is not complete, and the latest science indicates that 2 years is not long enough to repress any advantage that a male-bodied person has.
Mm.
So that's FINA.
The whole testosterone thing to me is bullshit, because you still haven't stopped that. That man has still gone through male puberty.
Yes.
He's still got longer arms, longer legs, longer, taller in general, bigger lungs. I mean,
yeah, there's so many different aspects, isn't there? Testosterone is just one small part of it.
Yeah. The World Athletics, they've updated their eligibility regulations for transgender athletes in March. Transgender athletes must not have experienced any part of male puberty, either beyond Tanner stage 2 or after the age of 12.
So that's saying basically puberty blockers. If you have been put on puberty blockers before puberty.
Yes. And they must have, if they did transition before 12, they must have lower than 2.5 nanomoles of testosterone. So even if they do transition before puberty, they still can have high testosterone, as you know. So they
transition before puberty.
Well.
Transition before puberty.
Crazy, isn't it? I remember Deb Atkinson was talking about at one of her talks, and she was talking about they did a study on elite female athletes in Australia, and on average they had 0.6% of nanomoles per litre of blood. So even 2.5 is significantly higher than what a woman would generally have.
Exactly. Most of us are under 1. So that's ridiculous. The International Tennis Federation, they've said the same thing. It's under 2.5 nanomoles for 2 years, but once again acknowledging that the science is indicating that they do not lose their advantage and it could be updated in the future. World Boxing Council has introduced an at-birth rule. Anyone who was born a male cannot compete with any woman.
That's great.
Regardless. So that's really good.
That's pretty much, I don't see any way of arguing with that. Basically, they're trying to say if you're a man, you can't fight against women. But they're saying it in a way that's, you know, if you're born a man, as if a man could be born a woman anyway. But that's good. I mean, because that's really dangerous, the fighting.
It is. And I've got some science about that too that we can talk about later if you want. World Rowing has, they cannot have gone through any part of female male puberty and have 2.5 nanomoles continuously for a period of at least 24 months. So that's World Rowing.
That's saying though that you need to transition before you go through puberty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And World Rugby is the first international sports federation to say transgender women cannot compete at the elite level or international level in any women's game.
At the elite level. So women who want to play rugby recreationally, for any reason, socially, playing sport to help your mental health. Men can play on those teams.
Mm.
Well, there's more to this that I couldn't find. I couldn't actually find their policies. So what I'm going off here is a newspaper article, but I do have the feeling that they are introducing rules about that, because in the article it was quite clear that they were looking at the biology carefully. I wonder if I can tell you the cycling one now, where I lost it here. The cycling one was quite good too.
Because I remember in the cycling we had what's his name?
Bridges. And there's another one in Massachusetts recently that won 10 gold medals in a row just last month. It was within the last month.
And you've got Rachel McKinnon, now known as Veronica Ivy, Canadian cyclist.
Yeah.
He won. Sorry, I'm reading it.
Yeah.
They obviously call him a she on this.
Yeah.
On the World Track Cycling Championship in 2018.
They know they're cheating. It just, they get up on the podium as if they're these fantastic athletes, and you know everyone should adore them, and everyone looks at them and thinks, cheat.
And that whole excuse about, oh well, I just needed to participate in sport for my mental health, and I have the right to compete because it's not fair if we can't. That goes out the window if they've already won awards as a man.
Yeah. But none of them do win awards as men because they're mediocre in their chosen sport. Like Leah Thomas or Will Thomas, he was something like 545th or something in the rankings, starts to swim against women, and he's number one.
Yeah.
He'd never, ever, no one would know his name if he hadn't have entered a women's sport. So,
yes.
And then he was celebrated. They were going to, he was in the running for Woman of the Year.
Yeah, and that embarrassing photo shoot he did as well, where he was like posing under the water, and they got him in these poses where they made him look the most that he could possibly look like a woman because he was under the water.
But he didn't fool anyone. He didn't fool anyone, did he? And then they found out that he was into that weird kind of castration porn, and then he castrated himself. That's so sad, isn't it? Now he can't compete with the women either.
Yeah, my heart breaks.
Rude for video for YouTube. Sorry about that. Oh, it's so. Well, I mean, now he can't compete. He can't do sport at all because he's got no natural testosterone coming from his testes because they're gone. Yeah.
This isn't a mental illness.
No, it's not. No.
They've got to be celebrated. They're so wonderful.
I think his boyfriend showed his balls in a jar as well after they were cut out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, that's completely sane.
This is what the Albanese government are advocating for. Isn't it wonderful to think our government is so, oh God. Anyway, it's hard to believe. It's just hard to believe.
But then they're either naive or they're evil. Like, they've got to know what's going on. If they don't know what's going on, then someone's going to take them out the back, have a little chat to them about it.
If they don't know what's going on, what else don't they know about that they should know about?
Yes.
They're running the country.
Yeah.
Take us back and talk to us about this boxing science.
Oh, well, it's not just boxing science, it's all science really. So boys have got greater testosterone from birth. So if you look at the body, there's like the architectural parts, and then there's the parts that can be modified over time.
Emma, before we continue with this, I mean, you've got a background in this. some people may not realise that you do. So this is your area of expertise.
Yeah, so I was looking at the science, you know, and understanding it from somebody who's read scientific papers. I wasn't keen on physiology when I was at uni, but I'm glad that I've studied it for reading these papers. So the amount of testosterone that the babies are exposed to in the womb is enough for them to have stronger bones, larger hearts and lungs at birth. So really from birth, your little boys, if you were to compare them with a little girl the same weight, the same age in the nursery, from birth, 15% greater heart and lung capacity.
Wow. And
stronger bones. As they get older, their testosterone does increase up to the age of 12. So even if they, you know, at Tanner stage 2, they stop puberty, they've still got that advantage. They've still got the structural advantage of having stronger bones, longer bones that can grow more muscle attached to them. If you think about the length of shoulders and legs, and where the tendons and the muscles can attach to the bones, that's a greater area, so it confers greater strength. And that's for the same weight and height, if you were to compare a girl and a boy. So they've got extra muscle, they've got extra bone growth, and because they have the larger lungs and the larger heart, they're pumping more blood around their body faster, which means more oxygen to each cell. Because they've got the larger lungs, they've got more oxygen entering into the body and going into the heart. Then the blood, you know, collects that oxygen and it goes around to the body. So it turns out to be a double-fold increase in the speed and reaction, like the energy that they get from a takeoff, for example. Does that make sense? Or did I explain that?
Is it called something like twitch muscles or something?
I don't know what the technical, I don't think there's a term for it, but it just means that the more oxygen you have to your cells and the quicker it gets around and the stronger your heart muscle, the faster you move. Acceleration, it's their acceleration, it's the, when the sporting people talk about it, they call it the explosive initial movement. For example, when playing tennis, with rowing, when you're taking off on a bike and you're pushing down on the pedal, when you're, you know, throwing a punch.
I've actually got this
yes.
flyer that we were giving out.
Yeah.
And it is, men have a greater amount of fast twitch muscle fibers.
There you go.
Like, as you're saying, Emma, gives men explosive power.
Yeah. There you go. There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
It's every single fiber is multiplied. So it's not just that they can get in more blood into their heart, they can pump more blood to their lungs, that lung can get more oxygen into it. So it's a multiplied effect over the body, which leads to quite a significant difference between girls and boys from birth. So that's why you have separate boys and girls sport in school. You can clearly see that the boys will always outrun the girls. Not always, sorry, I shouldn't say that. But if you took an aggregate group of boys and a group of girls, there's a significant difference in their speed.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever been to a sports carnival or anything like that, or a cross-country run for kids at school, and they separate the boys and girls.
I haven't. I can't remember what they did with ours back home, but obviously my girl was only 18 months old at the moment.
See, we need some primary school teachers here, so that I observed it as an adult with my son at school sports. So they separate the boys and girls, and the girls would take off first, and the boys would get back from the cross-country run quicker than the girls. This happened from grade 4, 5 and 6 onwards. So it's really quite obvious. And if you look at sprinting, over a short distance, 100 metres or 200 metres, you can see the boys just take off, and then the girls will, you know, do well, and they'll maintain a good speed, and they'll reach the end, and some of them are really good, and they'll outrun some of the boys. But generally speaking, the boys are a lot faster.
Yeah, I was the other day down the beach with my dog and my little girl, and I was throwing the ball in the tide was out. It was lovely. I was throwing the ball for my dog, and this little boy came over. He must have been about 10 or 11, and he threw the ball for my dog 10 times as far as I could throw it.
Oh my God.
It was unbelievable. And with just such ease as well. And he was probably only like 10 or 11. And I thought, wow. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how far this little boy could throw this ball.
Yeah. If you think about it, because it's so easy for them to do these movements, they do them more, and so they build a bigger muscle. And then you add on to that the testosterone effect. As they get older, they get more testosterone. The more muscles they get, the more testosterone they produce. So by the time they're in puberty, their bones are, I should go on to the other side of it, is the modifiable things over time. So the amount of testosterone changes over time, and as it increases the muscle growth and the oxygen effect as well. So it's going to also strengthen their bones. So as their bones grow longer and strengthen, they've got more muscles attached to them. Basically, testosterone is like an anabolic steroid. So they do have a huge advantage. And I have heard the stories about the 15-year-old boys beating the women's soccer Olympic team.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sounds terrible. And as a young woman, when I heard this, I was like, this is disgusting. Like, this can't be true. But the sad thing is, like, teenage boys are known for a few things, and they're not that bright, but geez, they're fast and strong.
Yeah.
They really are. I mean, I've got a nephew who can ride a bike at 60 kilometres an hour. He beats adult men. He beats everyone.
How old is he?
He's 17.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's not a big muscly kid either. He's you know, he's not one of those big muscle men. So just because as they get older, then their testosterone goes down. Start to lose condition. But yeah, the teenage boys beat everyone.
So what age does the testosterone start to go down? Is that in middle age?
I think it's in middle age, but it depends on a range of factors as well. It can go down because of ill health. If they do a lot of exercise and they're very healthy, they can increase their testosterone, and also genetic factors, how long their father was, you know, really active for, and so on.
It just decreases with time.
It just decreases with time. And I suppose if you're a more sedentary, like office worker, it's going to decrease sooner than if you're very active. So I in the field I work in mechanics, the mechanics are all quite buff, you know, into their 60s, because they're always lifting heavy things. But I suppose if you're working in certain jobs, it's going to go down. But yeah, so that's so they have like these inbuilt structural changes to their body, their bones, the muscles, the amount of blood, the size of the heart and size of the lungs, and then add on to that the testosterone effect of having their bones grow bigger and stronger and thicker, less prone to breakage. So if they're tackled, they're less likely to get hurt, less likely to have an injury if they're punched in the jaw during a fight. So it goes on and on and on, and it just multiplies that sort of strength that they have and that advantage they have over women.
Yeah, and women are more susceptible to concussion.
Yeah.
Well, so
have boxing and sports similar to boxing, like cage fighting and stuff like that, or any close contact, have they ever allowed men to fight against women? I'm sure I remember reading about one.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was, that they are.
You mean men that are identifying as women, have they allowed that?
Yes, they have.
Yeah, they have. Isn't it in the United States? And he fractured her skull. She didn't know.
Fallon Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Erica Newsom goes for the takedown. Fallon Fox escaped. They're both back up on their feet.
Good throws and reversals by both fighters.
These girls are getting right into it. Fox delivering the knees, and that's it. Fallon.
Is that the one you're thinking of?
Mixed martial artist. Yeah.
Hates women.
Competed in several professional fights in women's MMA.
Mm.
So they've seen what it can do, and then they've changed the rule because they've seen how dangerous it is. Then, you know, anybody could have seen how dangerous that is.
Mm.
But, you know, every country's got to take these decisions on board. And I think the boxing decision is, well, I know the boxing decision was from this year. But it doesn't make any sense to include have men and women fighting each other. It's just illogical.
Have you seen any codes in Australia that have limited trans-identifying males from competing with women, or is it just still open slather in Australia?
Not at all. They have not. That in Australia, the Australian Institute of Sport has a huge document that's co-written by the Human Rights and Equal Opportunities Commission, which, as you know, is a bit off the rails at the moment. Where it has this whole beautiful big glossy document about including men in women's sports and not so much women in men's sports, because it doesn't happen that much. But inside that document, there's one section which has an exemption. And
they should rename it from the Human Rights Commission to the Men's Rights Commission.
Yeah.
They should, yes. I want to read it to you because it's just what they say is just bizarre. So the exemption, a permanent exemption for sporting activity. The Act contains a permanent exemption in relation to competition sports activity. This is commonly referred to as the single-sex competition exemption. Okay, so a huge document pro men and women's sport, and it has one part of it that says there is an exemption. Although this does not operate to make single-sex sport legal in Australia.
What?
Yeah.
That's what it says here. It doesn't make it lawful to have single-sex sport in Australia.
So it's
What does that
illegal to have single-sex sports.
In order to, the exemption allows for discrimination on the grounds of gender identity only in competitive sports activity in which the strength, stamina, and physique of competitors is relevant.
Right.
In all sports, it's always relevant.
So it's absurd. That's so absurd. So it's not lawful to discriminate against trans women in women's sport, but you can have an exemption if they have stamina, physique, and strength.
Well, that should be an exemption for all sports because they exceed that.
Yes.
They're men.
Yes.
Also, if it's a female sport, it doesn't matter what the sport is. It could be chess. It could be bloody tiddlywinks. It could be anything that doesn't involve strength. If it's a female or a women's sport, it's a women's sport. Let us have our own sport.
Actually, the Human Rights Commission says, no, you can't even be a lesbian and have a lesbian-only event. So you definitely can't have a woman-only event.
It's complete and utter discrimination against women. Everything is discriminating against women. It's putting women in danger.
Yep.
So one of these days, the Human Rights Commission, they've lost all credibility.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't trust them. They're completely captured.
There is no sport that I could think of that doesn't involve strength, stamina, and physique.
Yeah.
Even ping pong, like the reacting to the ball and hitting it, you've got a stronger bone, you've got a longer arm, so you've got fulcrum power.
So they wrote this. Don't they understand that they wrote this? It doesn't make sense because it's in every single sports. They have that advantage. Yet there's an exemption because of that.
Even biologically or evolutionarily speaking, the theory is that men and women have different ways of thinking. Like men are very much, not always, but in general, more focused on one task. Women are famous for being able to multitask.
Yeah.
Like these stereotypes aren't out of the blue. There's always a grain of truth in every stereotype.
Mm.
So even if you're playing chess where you don't need to be strong, the way of thinking about that game between a man and a woman could be very different. And even if it's not, it's a woman's sport. Why do we have to include men in anything that's designed for women?
Yeah, if you
A
want
woman who's lost out a place to
Yeah.
play that particular sport because a man wants to infringe on a woman's space.
Yeah.
they're misogynists, so they just want to take from women. And it's all about displacing women from sports.
Well,
they just want to take all the time, just take everything from women.
That's interesting because they go on to say that this exemption doesn't apply to having referees or to children. So you can't use the exemption for children or for referees. So there's that. So you can still have a trans woman coaching a women's basketball team. Even though it doesn't make any sense that they would understand the biological challenges for women playing that particular sport because they're not a woman. And there are differences between boys and girls, you know, from birth.
Yeah.
But anyway, it goes on to say that considering there's been a Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal decision recently where they've found that they should exclude a transgender person, man, from women's sport. So it's been tested in court and it was successful.
This was in Australia.
This is in Australia, in Victoria.
Oh, I haven't heard about this.
Wait, can you talk us through that a bit more?
I don't have any more detail than what is in here. And because it's VCAT in Victoria, I don't know that I'll be able to get like all the details of it.
Mm.
But a sporting organisation in Victoria has successfully used that exemption. So it has already been tested. And honestly, we have all the science.
Yeah.
They can prove in every situation that a male, the same weight and height as a woman, is going to have a physical advantage. Oh, this research was done by our friend Jessie. I've got a list here. I wanted to mention this earlier, actually, Sasha Jane Lowerson. Do you remember that one?
No.
He's the 44-year-old man who's won many competitions in longboard surfing.
Oh,
Winning the Australian title.
over in WA?
In WA as a male and now as a female, and recently won a manly competition in longboard surfing as well.
In the place, Manly.
Yeah, in New South Wales.
Sydney.
Oh, right. That's so
Yeah. So he's around Australia as a woman after having a really successful career as a man doing, you know, surfing. Woman doing it.
Well, he wasn't mediocre in that sport before he decided that he would try his hand at female sports.
Well, I think he did go downhill at 44 and then decided to become a woman, yeah. Because I think someone else won after him and he thought, oh, we'll just beat the ladies now.
Mm.
Oh, God, he's awful in that bikini. Have you seen him?
No. I wonder how they feel. Does it affect them? Do they care that they don't get applauded for the win?
I think a lot of these men have humiliation fetishes.
Yeah,
They actually
yeah,
like to be humiliated. Like, it's hard for
Yeah.
us to understand how that could be possible, but a lot of
oh,
men
they're
do.
fetishes. You know, anything that's abnormal seems to turn them on.
Well, sissy porn is a process of humiliation, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
if it-
for them, identifying as a woman would be the humiliation because women are beneath men.
Mm.
Yeah.
so they might,
But have you come across any women who are pretending to be men and absolutely smashing it in men's sports?
no, I haven't.
Oh,
Oh.
Right.
very strange.
This is off my list, but that recently a woman refused to box in the US against a man. It was in a Redux article, I believe, and she refused. She went up and she refused to fight him when she saw that he was a man and left. Good for her.
Yeah.
And she was complaining on social media that it was so unfair because she outed him.
My opponent made the decision to withdraw from the tournament based solely on a text message received from another coach. And rather than asking me or my coach or even Boxing Quebec for any further information, she went directly to the media and outed me publicly. Speculating about the gender of athletes and spreading accusations will do nothing but produce a sporting culture of suspicion and surveillance that will ultimately harm all women who play sport. I started taking it seriously, and you know, you go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, you get better, and I'm kind of at the stage now where I want to learn and improve. The best way to ensure fair competition is not going to be to tighten regulation or require arbitrary and invasive testing, but to trust coaches and athletes to select the most gender appropriate category for their gender. Actions like these put athletes of all kinds of risk of exclusion and personal attack based on hearsay. And this weaponizes accusations of being transgender as a means to delegitimize athletes in the female category who may be perceived as being too strong.
It was transphobic because she outed him as being trans.
Oh my God, as if people don't know. This is what makes me laugh. It's they think, unless you're told, you can't see that they're a man. When you look at them, when you hear them, straight away, you know, like with the birth certificates, they've got to have that they're a woman on their birth certificate because they don't want to be outed. Are they kidding? Someone just needs to look at them. They out themselves.
Delusion.
Yes.
Absolute delusional.
And wasn't there someone in the UK, I think it was billiards or something, where she refused also? She walked out, she wouldn't compete.
Lynn, good old Lynn.
Yeah.
You can win the life. Yes, Lynn.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, she walked out because I think she did the break and then just packed up her stuff and went. And she got some good response from the crowd as well.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
really good. It's a shame that women have to do this, but I mean, I at the moment I don't see any other option for us than
Yeah. Just for their own safety, they have to do it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
yeah.
And fairness, you know, it's just the whole principle of it. You know, just don't compete with them.
Hmm.
And if testosterone was such a deciding factor, as they say it is, that's basically the main thing, is that if you've got high testosterone, you need to bring it down. Then how do they explain these women who pump themselves full of this stuff but aren't making it onto the podiums with the men?
Yeah.
How do they explain that?
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
I guess if it starts, yeah, it is weird, isn't it? But like you say, Emma, from before they're even born, they're given advantage of testosterone. So when these women start taking testosterone, they still had their whole life, but they haven't had it,
Yes, yeah. And they didn't have it in the womb when their heart and lung were getting formed, and so they, it's all different. It's almost like we're different sexes or something. Now there's there's a Lucy Finlay I don't know much about. Have you heard of Lucy Finlay? Like
No.
somebody who wanted to participate in Aussie rules football in South Australia.
So that was a woman that thought she was a man?
No, it was a man who thought he was a woman.
Okay.
And he's now participating in sport in South Australia. I don't think he's like that good at it, thank
I
God.
actually saw an article, and it might be going back 12 months ago, where this woman who now identifies as a man wanted to go into a men's sports, and they refused, saying it was too dangerous for her, so she wasn't allowed to compete.
Yeah.
I wish I kept. I'll try and find that article, because I just thought the hypocrisy. So
Yeah.
they admitted that if she competed, it was too dangerous. She'd be likely to be hurt. So they refused her.
Oh.
Mm.
It's okay for a man to compete against women if it's just one man, against a lot of women.
Yeah.
Bit inconsistent. Then there's Roxy Tickle. He likes to play a bit of sport too.
Yeah.
Where he's
Who's
part.
that?
Roxy Tickle's the one that likes to have his balls waxed. Oh no, he's not.
No.
He's against Cobra.
You're thinking of Yaniv or something from Canada.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if he's tried that, but
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Neve likes to have his balls waxed. Roxy Tickles just wants to get on women's apps.
yeah.
Also, I tried to get on to Tickle when I first became aware of it a couple of years ago, and I was denied because I looked like a man.
You mean giggle, not tickle.
Did you complain?
I did. I don't know if they let me on because they must have looked at my picture and gone, "Oh no, that's a woman." That really my self-esteem. I was going to say something to Sal when I met her, but I was like, "No, I won't tell her that she's."
Well, hopefully she'll watch this and now she'll know.
That whole day long, I was devastated.
That's why she set the app to 94% so women wouldn't be refused. So see, that's a difference between a man and a woman. You didn't complain.
God, what were you wearing that day?
What was I wearing? Oh, it was just a face shot.
Oh.
Yeah, but you look like a woman, so it's just weird. So there must have been some anomaly, because I think Sal was saying if the image is blurred or something, or it's not clear enough, then what's it called, that app that they use? I can't remember, but it looks at the photo. But if there's nothing wrong with the image itself, it doesn't actually mean to say that you don't look like a woman, but it could be blurred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably because I can't take good photos because I can't see.
But the image you sent through may have been flawed because of the pixelation or something like that. So not that you look like a man. It should make a decision.
I should be a man.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't go to the Human Rights Commission about that, Emma.
I should have. I should have said something about that. I mean, I am good at maths and science, so I might be man. A friend in Brizzy, Riley J. Dennis.
I know that he did that really strong tackle.
A strong tackle. And she couldn't make it back onto the field.
He's a lesbian though, so he's got double points.
Oh yes, he's double point out for the victimization.
Yeah.
Those bloody lesbians in Victoria.
Even 2 years ago, I would never have thought that I'd be involved in a conversation. It still does. I've been involved for 18 months. It still does my head in. But if you listen to people that have been involved in this for years, they still have, it's just hard to believe the world has come to this. It's just.
Yeah, I thought this in the beginning when everyone was. What I saw is just wasting their time explaining what a woman is. or what makes a woman. Oh, so you're saying that if you've had a hysterectomy, you're not a woman? No, I
Oh,
don't want to waste my time on this. Seriously, that's not what I'm saying. You know, that's not what I'm saying. Everybody knows what a man is. Everybody knows what a woman is.
yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Real.
But when you can't justify your position, you've got to grasp onto things like that, because
Yeah.
in reality, they don't have an argument.
Mm.
So they will go to, and, you know, and like comparing themselves to, if you, what is it? Women, I can't think of it now. But if we accept them as women, why can't we accept them as women? But the women they're referring to are actually women.
Oh, yes, they were saying that you accept black women as women.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
So racist as well.
It's
Completely racist.
unbelievable.
Yet they're allowed to be racist, misogynists, you know, but us saying men can't be women, oh my God. You need to be terrified.
I'm like, this is my favorite thing to say, because in Townsville there are a lot of Aboriginal people, and you know, I have some friends who are that, you know, there's an entire chromosome different between men and women, but skin color is just like 6 genes.
Mm. Mm.
So to be trans anything, like if you transracial, that's like considered to be so inappropriate.
Mm.
And yet everyone is on a continuum for race, for skin color, sorry, and race is socially constructed by nations' borders. It's completely constructed, whereas sex is definitely biologically defined.
Yeah.
I've probably got more in common genetically with an Aboriginal woman than I do with a man, a white man who looks like me, because we've got the entire same 2X chromosomes.
Well, yeah, exactly. You've gone through female puberty.
Yeah.
You've had the experience of female socialization. You've started your periods. If she's had a baby as well, you've had babies. There's so many similarities.
But it's also, they can't think like a woman, like we can't think like a man.
Mm.
There's differences in thought patterns.
Definitely.
So, you know, and if they were women, they would understand why women are opposed to this. But the fact that they can't understand our concerns or claim not to means they're not women, they're men.
Yeah.
Because only a woman understands why women, there are men that understand, but you know, but these men don't claim they're women. These men claim they're women, but they can't understand why we've got any concerns.
It's so ironic, isn't it, that the men that do try to really understand women, like my husband, is absolutely awesome. The men like that who do try to, you know, understand where you're coming from if you're having a bad period or, you know, got swollen ankles because you're pregnant. They're not the ones that are trying to pretend to be women. But the ones that are trying to pretend to be women have absolutely zero need or want to understand the female experience in any way.
Yeah.
It's all about aesthetics, about what they look like.
And like we were talking earlier about men replicating having a period by inserting frozen tomato, was it juice or sauce or something?
I don't think it matters.
And you just think, oh my God. There you go, Anthony Albanese. These are the ones you're protecting.
It's just absolutely crazy, isn't it? Because as a woman or a girl, if
you have to put the thread right at the back.
Oh,
Woolies probably run out of Woolies and Coles. If there's a shortage of tomato products, we know why.
Tomato products seem to be a hallmark of this movement lately as well, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they do. Like they threw tomato juice over Kelly J. So
Yeah.
So tomato really does have a big. Maybe that should be their symbol, the tomato.
There's an identity problem as well. Is it a fruit? Is it a vegetable? Mm.
And it's actually a fruit.
It is a fruit.
And they are fruity, aren't they?
Do you have on your list, do you have Hannah Mountsie?
Yes, I do. meaty Hannah Mousey. I remember seeing him walking down some stone steps in a lovely flowing white skirt that was really sheer in that lump when the wind blew.
Oh.
And all his tackle. Gorgeous.
And of course you've got Dean Danielle Laidley.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
another
I've got
one.
Danielle Laidley, yes.
That with that white gown that he wore with the bulge at the front.
And you know, like they said, he wasn't he like the world's hottest 100?
Top 100, yeah.
Yeah. And what do you reckon do you reckon he's good at cooking and cleaning? Isn't that the first
You'd
thing
hope
that
so,
they look for?
wouldn't you?
You know, every man, you know, when you go looking for a man, the first thing you look for is, can he build a house? No, but don't they always say, oh, well, I want a woman who can cook and clean, and I don't know if he's doing that. It looks like he's working out.
Let's just hope he is.
That he's performing womanly duties.
Yeah.
He's doing his own duties. I'll just test him out. I'll throw some socks on the floor.
I'd be a man then, because I just walk straight past those things.
Yeah. It's incredibly sexist to have those sex stereotypes, but I don't know, for the women.
But they are into stereotypes, aren't they? Because their whole existence is based on stereotypes.
Yes,
yeah, but only visually, like only
visually.
Yeah.
And
But
actually,
they can't even pass for that.
they're not going to be actually doing the hard work with the washing and the ironing and the dishes and
Some men though, like I've got 4 brothers and they're fantastic at that stuff. That was my father. More so, like, I pity that it's a pity I'm not more like them, because they can cook. They're fantastic cooks. I'm a shitty cook.
Oh, really?
They clean. I remember my brother, you know, go to his place. This is years ago before he had kids. He'd be after you with the, you know, cleaning up as you went along. So some men are pretty good with that stuff, but generally the stereotypes is that it's women that do that sort of stuff. But yes.
Yeah. And I mean, Sandro is very good too, because he'll watch this later. And Sandro, you're fantastic. Everything I tell him to do, he goes and does it before I get mad.
Oh. And then you've got Laurel Hubbard.
He's a New Zealander.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can give Laurel an honorary mention for upsetting upsetting a woman who wanted, the woman who would have won was an Australian woman.
Yeah, that's Deb Ackerson. She died after that.
That's just destroy people's lives with your selfishness, guys.
I think that's what they want, though, isn't it? Isn't it all about destroying women?
Well, maybe it is.
I think they're just so selfish, a lot of them, that they just don't care. You know, as long as they can get on the podium, because for the women, it's just about taking part, isn't it? It's not actually about the winning.
But if they,
I think down there, like the elite sports, it is about winning, but it's about fairness, and you know,
it is about women winning. Even in amateur sports, like my husband plays basketball, and when he comes home from a game, he's in a different mood if he's won or if he's lost.
Yes,
you're going to win. Otherwise, why would you go?
Yeah.
This is what really concerns me, is the little girls in primary school playing, I don't know, t-ball, softball, netball against boys. doing their cross-country races against boys.
Mm.
No little girl is going to get the chance to be elite. There might be one or two who are exceptionally tall who win, but at the end of the day, there's going to be girls who just never get a chance to win. I was one of them. That's fine. I didn't want to be sporty anyway. But these girls who, try hard and want to win, they should have the chance to beat everyone, shouldn't they?
Of course they
Yeah.
should.
And that's where that, when it becomes more and more prevalent, that parents on the sidelines watching that, it's going to pique a lot of parents just go, no, they'll be so pissed off.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would just be boycotting school sports altogether. I wouldn't let my girl participate if it's just a sport for a sports day for validating boy sport.
Yeah.
That's just heartbreaking. And of course, teenage girls, they go through that period where your hips grow and you're not used to having your big hips. I know I was one of those girls, and I went from being quite sporty. Not like I wasn't into sport. I rode my bike a lot, but I was thin and I moved a lot to being round. And you sort of you're not wanting to move around as much. You're not wanting to do sport like you used to.
Yeah.
And competing against teenage boys who I've mentioned are like the souped up like cars. They're just the souped up, sporting machines. And girls have just, developed this frumpy, fatty, round body.
Yeah.
With the fatty lumps there that bounce when you run.
Yeah.
Same time they're going, oh, look at your boobs, your ear and head. And that's just embarrassing. Girls won't compete in sport if they have to compete against teenage boys.
And then add into the mix a boy in the changing room.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we can't forget about that.
And not only that, the coaches that identify as women in the changing room.
Yeah, it's just a disaster for girls.
Yeah.
For girls' sports.
We're just not going to do it. I mean, I've heard stories about girls holding off going to the toilet all day long in Queensland.
Yeah, and that is actually affecting their health.
Yeah.
They're going to get an infection.
Yes.
And but also little boys too, because not all boys have got that bravado. So you also hear about also boys not going to the toilets because they're embarrassed to go as well. So it's just so wrong. It really is wrong when there's both sexes are uncomfortable.
And I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but isn't it interesting that now that we've all got a handheld device that has a camera in it, we're suddenly letting boys into the toilets?
Yeah.
Isn't that really odd? That's really dangerous. Now every kid's got a mobile phone and they can just hold it over the top of the toilet. The school toilets do not go from floor to ceiling.
Most public toilets don't either.
Yeah.
So
I saw Andrew Jones put out a tweet saying talking about how I think it was in Victoria that they promised that after self-ID the toilets would be from the ground to the floor, and it's why would that be necessary if trans women are women anyway? They know there's a difference.
And did they do that with the
No.
Well, they have open urinals too in some of the toilets as well, where women have to go. They've even got open urinals.
Oh, no boy would do that, would they?
For all those women that have penises.
But yeah.
A lot of men, they don't want to share public toilets with women either. It's not just women that feel uncomfortable, but there are men that feel uncomfortable as well. So let's just make everyone uncomfortable, but it's all for the man who thinks he's a woman. He needs to feel comfortable, but no one else. We don't give a damn about them.
I wonder how many teenage girls are going into the boys' toilets that identify as male.
It would be interesting to know that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be
Are they going into the men's toilets?
Because someone said, they're putting those menstrual bins into boys' toilets now so that the boys who menstruate can use them. And I can't think of, like, I can't picture anyone that I know going into the boys' toilets to use it willingly. Like, they stink, hey. You just walk by and they stink.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is, but I think with the sports thing, more people need to just be aware. I don't think enough people know. And women just need to refuse this shit.
I think that if all the sporting associations, the local Queensland groups, the local community groups knew there is an exemption, one little paragraph in that entire document by the Australian Institute of Sport, and they could actually just say, no, using that exemption, we're saying that you have got an unfair competitive advantage because of your physique, your stamina and your strength.
Yeah, it's amazing that there is an exemption in there which would cover every sport. So,
Yeah. They need to use it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't know that.
But then the Human Rights Commission would probably back the boy who wants to be in the girls' sport in taking them to court. But then we already have that precedent from VCAT.
That'll be interesting.
They've won and said, yeah, you need to exclude the boys from the girls' sport.
Yeah, this whole thing is going to end with a lot of lawsuits, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because everything comes down to money.
Yeah.
And a lot of girls just not participating in sport.
Yeah.
No one could have seen this coming. Now there's no such thing as women's sport anymore. Oh, well.
Emma, you had a meeting with a Labor MP recently.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Walker?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
He was as slimy as you can be. Comes in, oh, I'm talking about this and talking about that with the future, and oh, things are changing. And then I got, honed him down on the point of why I was there. And no one else has complained about this. So I covered every point I wanted to. But he went from, oh, I've never heard of this. Is this a problem? To, oh, this isn't happening in Queensland. It's not happening in Australia. To, oh, it's happening in other states, but it's not happening in Queensland. To, oh, Emma, I think you're over analysing it. I think you're worrying about it too much and it's stressing you out. Maybe you need to not focus on this subject.
Calm down.
The bill's, it's just an amendment to a bill. These things can be changed easily. Don't worry about it.
Oh, so it can be changed easily.
Oh, yes, yeah. He lied and lied and lied because another lady that I know up here, Gail, who's a TERF.
Wait, can you say what this MP's name was or not?
Les Walker.
Les Walker.
Yeah, he member for Mundingborough. He was very nice. We were there for an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of he wanted to win the argument. And I didn't let him. Because he hadn't thought about the subject in any depth. At some point, he actually said, if people can't change sex, then what are sex change operations?
Oh, what? He really thinks it changes sex. What a knob.
Wow.
He said that no one has come to him about this when he was on the local 4TO FM talking about it with women calling in saying they didn't want men in women's toilets. And he spoke to Gail, who was a TERF up here, who held him down and spoke to him during the yes, no.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, he has heard about it. But to me, he lied,
Yeah. So do you think you convinced him in any shape or form of at least a little bit?
Yeah, the stuff I was saying to him about Dr. Gillian Spencer and about, I did mention that one of my colleagues in Brisbane had actually phoned up Valley Plastics and they confirm they do surgeries and it's in the Courier Mail, and he got out his phone and he found the article and he was a bit concerned. He used to be a cyclist and there's cycling in our family, and I brought up the cycling world. They changed their rules to exclude men and from women's cycling. And he started off by saying, oh, women have got more power taking off. And I just told him he was wrong. And he's like, but I was a cyclist. And I'm like, well, I was a biologist, and this is wrong. And this is why the World Cycling Union has said no. And then he sort of shut up about that. And he was a prison guard at Townsville Correctional Centre. And I mentioned that when I was in there teaching, so we connected on that as well. And he's like, oh, but, you know, girls, he was saying girls, oh, they commit domestic violence too, and women commit violence again. Oh, you should have heard him. He's talking about the Women's Centre in Townsville. Oh, you know, they'll kick men out if they even walk in the door. You can't even go in there. Yeah.
Well, let's keep cracking on.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to talk to us, Emma. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I love talking to you,
Such
lady.
a depressing
Love
subject.
talking to you as well.
Thanks, Emma.
Thanks, Emma. Bye.
Gave me a really good laugh.
See ya.
All right. Bye.